What's going on, everybody? Josh Engleman for Awesemo.com, and I am back with my NBA DFS contenders on Draftkings for Monday, January 25th. Now be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all of our other content goes live. Follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman so you can get updates to these sim results as we get closer to lock. And finally, let me know in the comments section who are your favorite options on Draftkings for tonight's slate. We're rounding out the bottom of my top 10 with Mason Plumlee, DeLon Wright, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Tristan Thompson, and Damian Lillard, the #1 contender on FanDuel. Spoiler alert, go watch that video. It's around here somewhere. Who will be the top favorites for today's slate? It's time to find out. First up, number 5, and I'm honestly not really happy about it. It's Derrick Jones Jr. Now, small forward, power forward eligibility. That really helps. He's only 4,300. The minutes have been creeping up a little bit with the injuries. He's projected for 23. The goal is 37, and he's in the optimal lineup 16% of the time. 29 minutes. He's a 0.8 fantasy point per minute guy. Minimal usage, 9.5 points, 5.5 boards. When you're really getting the Derrick Jones Jr. game, you're getting it from stocks. You're hoping that instead of averaging a steal and a block per game, you're hoping he gets to 2 and 2 or 3 and 2. When that number starts to climb, that's when you get the Derrick Jones Jr. high value affair. He's taking on Oklahoma City. It's not a tough matchup. It's a pace neutral spot. But I think from a value standpoint, because of his flexibility at the small forward and power forward spot, and because of his current minutes level, he looks like a really nice value piece at the forward spot. Allows you to fit in the Damian Lillards, the Shai Gilgeous-Alexanders, the guys that I'm going to be talking about shortly. But he's not the only mid 4K guy I have my eye on. Number 4, Isaiah Roby. Power forward center eligibility. Again, that's huge. Having that extra position is really helpful. He's 4,600, 25 fantasy point projection, 38-point goal. And he's in the optimal lineup 16% of the time. He's basically the starting center for the Thunder with Al Horford out. 27 minutes, 18% usage, 11.5 and 6.5 as a baseline projection. He gets to take on a Portland team that doesn't have a talented defensive center. Enes Kanter, not that guy. Harry Giles, not really that guy. So it's a pretty good matchup in that regard. Isaiah Roby's like a 0.94 fantasy point per minute guy. I see no reason that I should move him off of that rate. 27 minutes at that spot. Given the power forward and center eligibility, it's just another value piece that you can use today when building out your DraftKings lineups. Now at number 3, point guard and shooting guard eligible, Marcus Smart. He's 6,400, projected for 34. You want 44. He hits that goal 11% of the time, and he's in the optimal 17% of the time. We're not getting Kemba Walker today. He's going to be out for rest, not going to be playing on the back-to-back. We already know Peyton Pritchard is out. So Marcus Smart is going to soak up playing time. Not that he doesn't always, but the ball handling duty will be a little bit more important. Now they are getting Jason Tatum back. Don't think that matters all that much for Smart. He's still going to get his ball handling work. 35 minutes, a 0.95 fantasy point per minute guy, 14 and 7 is the baseline projection. But we're talking about a guy that averages about 2 steals every 36 minutes. That's a really tasty rate. And he's taken on the Chicago Bulls in a massive pace up spot for the Boston Celtics. They're gaining 4 additional possessions. That's like a 1.5 for Marcus Smart. That takes him from a nice value play to the 3rd best contender on the slate. That's enough for me. I love this spot. I'm not at all worried about Chicago's defense. I'm hoping that the extra pace really helps out Boston. So Marcus Smart, point guard, shooting guard eligibility, 6,400. He is the number 3 contender. But we're not leaving Boston just yet. Number 2, Jeff Teague. Point guard, shooting guard eligibility, just $3,700. 22 fantasy point projection, goals 35. He's in the optimal lineup 22% of the time. We stepped into a different tier. I'm only giving him 24 minutes. I don't think that's crazy. It's like league average usage rate, 10, 4.5, 2.5, maybe a steal or 2. That same awesome pace up matchup that Marcus Smart is getting. This is just a pay down point guard to open up things for everybody else. That Jeff Teague should be a little bit more expensive given this role. Peyton Pritchard being out is meaningful. I think it's possible Jeff Teague actually plays more than 24 minutes, but as a baseline, this one works for me. I'd be a little surprised if he played much less than 22, but either way, I think that he looks like a nice value. Now, we might see more high-level value come out as this day goes on. It's a big slate, and as that happens, Jeff Teague's going to go away because he just doesn't have the true ceiling like everybody else. But right now, we're kind of devoid of any official value, and that's why Jeff Teague shows up as the number 2 option on DK today. Now, before we get to that number 1 contender, one last reminder, the thumbs up button. I love it. I want to see those likes climb. You guys help me out a ton with it. Subscribe to the channel so that we can get to 50,000 subscribers before the Super Bowl. And finally, follow this guy right here, me, on Twitter, at Josh Engleman. If you want to get these sim updates, that's the place to do it. Unless you join at awesemo.com/join. We could talk about it a little bit on the back end in our premium Slack. And finally, the number 1 contender for today's slate, it's Bam Adebayo. Now, he's just center eligible. I can't even imagine how highly he would rank if he had the power forward spot too, which he should have, by the way. 8,500, projected for 48.5. The goal is only 52. He hits that goal 37% of the time. He's in the optimal lineup 24% of the time. Big minutes, 35. Huge usage with Jimmy Butler and Tyler Hero off the floor, 29%. He turned a 1.2 fantasy point per minute guy into a 1.4 guy just because these guys are off the floor. 25 and 10. I have him projected for a serious double-double. I haven't even mentioned the fact that I have him projected for 5 assists, plus a steal, plus a block and a half. Plus, it's a pace-up matchup against Brooklyn, who cannot guard him with DeAndre Jordan. And Jeff Green, probably not that guy either. Defense on Brooklyn, not very good. Extra possessions, great for Bam. Every single thing that you can ask for Bam Adebayo today is in his favor, other than the fact that he doesn't have the MPE. And I'm not going to hold it against him. He's the best center option on the slate. You should have him today. He's the number 1 contender on DraftKings. Alrighty, folks, that will do it. Those are my NBA DFS contenders on DK for Monday, January 25th. No strategy show, no live before lock for me, so this is what you get. I'll be back again tomorrow morning with another edition of the NBA Contenders. Good luck tonight, everybody.